Welcome to r/Tales from Tech Support, where we get to have a little chuckle at the technologically disadvantaged. Like me. I'm Uncle Reddit, and have I got a story for you. I'm back! Thank you to everybody who checked in on me, made comments of concern. No reason to be concerned. Sorry I kind of had a few days off. 22 to be exact. But you know how it goes. Sometimes life just gets in the way. And that's exactly what happened here. But the good news is I've been productive. Things are getting done around here. Wife's generally happy. Kids generally happy. I'm generally happy. Yeah, what more could you ask for? Alright, let's get back to reading some stories. I don't want a new screen. I need my icons. This is some years ago, but it's still funny and I'll never forget it, so here's my story. I used to work at an ad agency with lots of POS, I'm guessing point of sale, and key account managers. I was their graphic artist and also their IT tech support. One day our boss decided to change the entire interior of the office. Everyone was happy about that. The company was doing well and we wanted to change the entire interior to something fresh and nice, as a kickoff to our new success and prosperity. Officially, my job was to make sure our IT equipment was top-notch. New computers, new cabling, new screens and all. Most of our staff isn't very IT savvy at all, and this one lady in particular wasn't very tech-oriented, but very stylish and knew her fashion. In fact, she was a rich kid from the richest family in our country at the time, but that's kind of besides the point. I was about to give her a brand new widescreen monitor and she yelled at me, "What are you doing?" I'm about to give you a new, shiny, bigger and better monitor? She said, "Are you crazy? Do you know how many years it's taken me to organize my desktop icons? I have a ton of contact information, PDF files, and images I need on my desktop." I tried to explain to her that they would still be there. It's just a screen I'm replacing. She looked at me like I was the crazy one and kept on yelling at me. "You idiot. I have all my shortcuts and documents well organized on that screen. If you replace that screen, I'll have to redo years of work." Calmly yet again, I tried explaining to her the concept of computers and Windows, that those icons and shortcuts are on her Windows installation on a computer itself, and that the desktop shortcuts and contents will be untouched. She kept on yelling at me. "Untouched? You're quite literally replacing my screen where those icons are. Are you so lost you don't get that?" My coworkers heard this, and they had to literally crawl onto their real-life desktops in order to hide the fact that they were literally dying from laughter. I was a bit shook by her erratic behavior, so I couldn't even laugh. I tried thinking in layman's terms and imagined from her point of view, with zero computer knowledge, how to explain it to her in a way she would get it. We ended up letting her keep her monitor. There was no way to explain this to her. She just wouldn't understand. She really held on to the monitor as I was going to demo for her that the icons would still be there, but she kept blocking it like her life depended on it. Oh well. Yep, some people just don't get it. I do think it's funny though that she guarded that thing with her life. She wasn't going to let you touch it at all. Oh well. You made a good call though, OP. Sometimes you're better off just letting things go. If she's able to be productive and she can still see everything on her desktop, keep the old monitor. Remove our admin permissions. We'll wait for the grief to come pouring down from above. This happened about 20 years ago, as I was starting my IT career. The organization I was working for was an early adopter and had just rolled out Windows 2000, and delegated control was still a good idea and a long way off of being implemented. It was discussed making this happen by the sysadmins, but not implemented to allow the help desk to have any granulated permissions, but this had not been worked out yet. I was still on the help desk and worked with Alec. Alec had been around since I think Noah was building the Ark, and possibly handed him the hammer when he needed it. So Alec knew everyone and had interesting stories to tell. If Alec's on here, he can tell his own stories. The computer corporation that the organization had hired to manage second and third level escalations above the help desk decided that the lowly help desk peons, Alec and I, could not have domain administration permissions anymore, as we were doing the work and taking cases off them. That meant they could not justify as many man-hours as they were charging our organization. So on Wednesday night, our accounts were removed from the elevated permissions without notifying us. Possibly our managers were notified, but not what the implications were. Here comes the compliance. See, all we could do now was catch and dispatch. Nothing else. Simply take the call and log it into the help desk system, saying someone needed their account unlocked to be able to work, Someone else wanted to change their password, as they had forgotten their password, and another person needed access to a specific folder on their file servers. This is all run-of-the-mill level 1 tasks that take seconds to complete. However, not this Thursday. See, the computer corporation that day needed to do their weekly team building meeting that I was not privy to, not working for them. However, I'm sure they were told how much extra money they would be making doing all these extra cases. Alex started after me, as he then had to later finish, so I explained our lack of access now and that we would have to simply catch and dispatch calls now, with the computer corporation doing all the work. This is boring and what gives help desk roles a really bad name. Alec wanted to go to our managers to get this changed immediately. However, I convinced him to comply with the corporation's dictate. We would allow the people directly affected by not being able to work to complain to their managers. Then they would complain to ours, so we don't look like we're being difficult to the computer corporation's new stance, whom we had to get along with. Oh yes, they did complain. The manager for their computer corporation got hauled out of their team meeting to fix things up, so we could do our work, and our colleagues could then do theirs. When their manager asked why we didn't say these cases were backing up, we replied, well, we couldn't change and unlock passwords, and they were busy in their meeting, and we were asked previously not to disturb them. Petty, I know, but we did get our admin rights back before lunchtime. Also, now things are massively changed, and domain admin rights are not handed out so fast. But this was the early days of Windows 2000. Alec, you magnificent bugger. Hope you're still kicking goals and this brings back memories. Nice. A little malicious compliance, Tales from Tech Support combo there. I don't blame him. You know what? If y'all are going to set the rules and just totally muck things up, you get to deal with the fallout. Or just don't be so greedy and fast to muck things up just because you think it's going to cost you money. I don't want a new one. I'll keep it short, if I can. We had just returned to our place of work after over a year due to social distancing. A user came to my office complaining that their laptop wouldn't connect to the internet or print. It turns out this machine hadn't been upgraded to Windows 10 prior to the lockdown and was therefore no longer compatible with my internet filtering system and our whole print system. I explained this to the user and said, not to worry, I can back up your data and upgrade your current machine to Windows 10 and let you carry on as normal. I was backed up on jobs and explained I wouldn't be able to do this for at least a few days. They're more than welcome to borrow one of the 30 brand new laptops in the meantime. The user scoffed and said they wanted their current one as they don't like the look of the much newer machines. I shrugged and said, suit yourself. 2 days later, user and their management come into the office raging, saying they haven't been able to work for 2 whole days. I was actually quite taken back by this, as I hadn't been used to face-to-face stupidity for some time. I thoroughly explained the situation to their management. They immediately turned to the user and asked them to leave the room. Management thoroughly apologized and grabbed one of the spare laptops and went on their way. No idea what happened to user. Can't say I care either. Yeah, that user knew exactly what they were doing. They set themselves up. You didn't want the newer looking computers because you didn't like the style, and you were already told that it was going to be at least 2 or 3 days. Your fault. But it doesn't have a second tray. It was that time of the multi-year cycle. Time for new printers. That time where a disproportionate amount of the IT budget is spent on big, expensive, bulky printers, even for the departments that for some reason have desk printers on top of departmental ones, because enough of them complain to the right people that they get desk printers for workflow efficiency. Anyway, per usual, the behemoth industrial upright printers were being replaced with very slightly smaller behemoths that had new shiny software and a sleeker, more modern look. The printer makes, models, specs were cleared with all department heads before ordering, and were exact matches for the previous printer spec-wise, except a higher page per minute and lacking a finisher add-on that went unused in the previous cycle, with few enough exceptions that our graphics printer could take care of it. Everything went remarkably smoothly. The new drivers deployed without a hitch, and everyone was happy, except for one department. This department called and complained almost immediately that it didn't have a second tray. The printers had the same number of paper trays, including one bypass, so there was a bit of confusion on our part. You see, the lack of additional trays would definitely be an issue, since many departments needed multiple paper sizes available at the same time without swapping. However, we double-checked and all the trays were present and accounted for, until we were shown by the complainee that the old printer had 2 output trays, one in the body and one in the finisher. This was a purely cosmetic second tray that came out of the finisher if booklets were being made and had no bearing on the amount of prints or copies the printer could process. Copies would also come out of the finisher tray, but only after a normal print job completed. We of course let them know that the lack of a second tray doesn't affect print speed, and that their copies and prints would come out at even faster speed, but that didn't seem to matter. It used to work that way. The most dangerous phrase in the organization was brought out. Then my boss's boss was contacted and they complained. We made our case. They made their case. And several thousand more dollars were spent on a finisher add-on so they could have their paper come out in 2 different places. I don't even know what to say about that one. It's like somebody getting an upgrade of an automatic transmission in their car, and then they complain because the shifter's different and it doesn't work the same, and you can't go from gear to gear with your hand, it just does it automatically. They want their shifter back. It's dumb. Maybe that's not a good analogy. If you got a better one, let me know down below. I'm just here to get my booster. I work at a university which also owns several hospitals. We have multiple shot clinics for employees only. I went by this afternoon to get my second booster, 3rd jab. The first one wasn't a booster, was it? At one that also does regular flu shots. The flu shot clinic is trying something new this year, where you register online and when you go in you scan a QR code and it does something magical and you're checked in to get the shot. The student running the table hadn't ever met someone who hadn't scanned a QR code before. The woman checking in hadn't ever scanned one before. She thought the student was asking her if she had gotten a code. The student was just asking her to scan the code taped to the table, but hadn't figured out that the woman didn't know how to do that. Tech support to the rescue. Ma'am, act like you're going to take a picture of the thing. Her, what? Student tapping the code taped to the table. Just scan it. Her, what? No, I didn't get one. I just got an email. Me, open your camera and point it at the code. Act like you're going to take a photo of it. Student, just scan it. Her, scan? No, I didn't get one. Me, unlock your phone. Okay, now open the camera. Good. Now point the camera at the paper like you're going to photograph it. Her, doing that. I don't think this will work. Oh. Student, pointing toward her phone. Now click the link. Her, what? Student, it's a link. Click it. Her, doing that. Oh, okay. Luckily, I know the programmers for this project. They'll work on the training regimen a bit more. I figured it was easier than trying to teach the student. Yeah, that sounds like somebody wasn't trained very well, or they didn't pay very much attention during training sessions. Sometimes you got to give just a little more detail. I understand, there's a lot of people out there that have never scanned a QR code. I just started playing with NFC codes myself, NFC chips, and they're scannable chips. And for a long time, Android-based phones were natively able to scan NFC, and iPhones were able to natively scan QR codes. But for QR codes, Android had to have an app for a while or a special add-on for your, camera, and iPhones had to have the same for the NFC codes. Now, all the newer software and newer models natively do both. You may, although on iPhones, you may have to manually turn that option on. So, if you get a chance, check it out. It's pretty cool. I got a whole pack of these, and they're in sticker form. It's like a little white dot sticker, like you would put prices on at a yard sale, but it has a little chip embedded in it. Kind of neat. I don't know how useful they are, but I like playing with gadgets. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. If you've enjoyed this content, do me a favor, would you? Click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click that little bell icon so you don't miss the fat guy with the beard telling you stories. Now that I'm back. See ya.